Hello everybody, it is Emery48 here, and today's video is on the short stories before Knight Errant. All of the short stories that I have found online, the links will be posted in the description of the video. The ones towards the end, the Lost Tribes of the Sith, those were in a book that I have purchased. So those links will obviously not be in the description of the video. The first short story is Surface Details. It takes place in 3638 BBY, which is 2 years after the Old Republic annihilation. And that was the last Star Wars video that I did for that book. Tev 5th arrived at customs on Manon, a primarily water planet. He was helped by customs agent Varco, a Selkath, normally a primarily underwater species. Varco's last traveler used the Force to have Varco look up information on a Sith that arrived 2 days earlier. Varco gave the woman all the information he had on the Sith. The woman told Varco to go home and that he had a boring day. Varco believed and went home. The next short story is Wanted, Dead and Dismantled. This also takes place in 3638 BBY, which is the same year as Surface Detail. Kern, a bounty hunter, was shot and captured by a droid who recorded his statement admitting to a crime. The next short story is Remnants, also in 3638 BBY, which is the same year as Wanted, Dead and Dismantled. Kaya was hired for a job on Rakata Prime. It was supposed to be an easy pickup of smuggling antiques. However, the locals had killed her entire team and were now chasing Kaya to her ship. When close to the ship, she communicated with her droid on board, Dom, to give her covering fire. Dom lit the jungle she had just left on fire and helped her to the ship. Kaya's ship was shot at by a Republic corvette that left hyperspace. Soon after, an Imperial ship also came out of hyperspace. Instead of fighting each other, the Imperial ship joined the Republic ship in the chase. Kaya dumped the cargo the team had brought back to the ship before being ambushed on Rakata Prime. This dump allowed Dom enough time to put the ship into hyperdrive, escaping the two ships. The next short story is Bedtime on Concordia. This is the same year as Remnants, 3638 BBY. Galron, a Mandolorian, is telling his twin daughters, Mari and Tan, a bedtime story about a great Mandalorian warrior, Shae Vizsla. Galron watched over the campsite while his daughters slept. The next short story, One Night in the Dealer's Den, is also the same time as Bedtime on Concordia, which is 3638 BBY. Theron Shan got roped into a night out by co-worker Jonas Balker. This was a sting operation for a friend of Jonas, Lilos. She needed someone with cybernetic implants to catch Dr. Zeke, who was selling them on the black market. Theron did not know this was the plan until after they caught Dr. Zeke. The next short story, in the same year, Regrets. Jace and Theron got dinner at an Alderaanian restaurant. Jace mentioned Satele may regret her decision she made regarding Theron, but that she believes she made the right one for the Republic. The next short story is Sacrifice. This takes place in 3637 BBY, which is 1 year after Regrets. Oh, this one was not a short story, actually it was a YouTube video, so that video is linked down below. The next short story is Brothers, which is the same year as Sacrifice. This shows the conversation between the twins in the video Sacrifice, so you should go watch that video before I explain a little further. Arcan and Thexan are the twins. Thexan can already see Arcan's rage building. At the end of Sacrifice, it is Arcan that goes to kill their father, but kills Thexan instead. The next short story is A Mother's Hope. This one's by Drew Karpyshyn. Now, if I had known The authors, if I had seen them listed for the other short stories, I would give them credit and let you know who the authors are, but for most of the short stories, I don't see an author listed. A Mother's Hope takes place in 3631 BBY, which is 6 years after Brothers. Senya, Arcan's mother, went to Ord Mantell to try to find someone to save Arcan's life. Her daughter, an empress of the Eternal Empire, Vaelin, got there first. Vaelin killed all the people in the village Senya was going to. Senya and Vaelin dueled until a hypercore blew up. When Senya woke, Vaelin was gone. Senya went back to her ship to try to find somewhere else to bring Arcan. The following is another YouTube video called Betrayed. This one is in 3630 BBY, 1 year after A Mother's Hope. That video is also linked down below. The next short story is Trading Scars by Samantha Wallschlaeger. It's in 3630 BBY and is the same year as Betrayed. Veesh and Nira, two experienced crystal guards, were telling a rookie some of their stories. As Nira finished, a call went over the radio requesting backup because of the Alliance was attacking the train. The following short story is Chasing Copero by Charles Boyd. This is in the same year as Trading Scars. A sale of information from Pova to an unidentified contact with cybernetics around the eye on Nar Shaddaa. The following short story begins a line of short stories in the Lost Tribe of the Sith book again. We start with number 7, Pantheon. This is by John Jackson Miller. Pantheon takes place in 3000 BBY, which is 630 years after Chasing Copero. Chapter 1. A Sith on Kesh, Hilts, has gotten to old age, and as a Sith, that means he is unimportant. Hilts is the historian for the Sith on Kesh. He is in charge of the testimonial reading of Yaru Corson's final speech that happens every 25 years. Ileana Mirko, a follower of Yaru's previously banished wife, Sela, wants Hilts to read a different transcript to convince her opponents to follow her. What Ileana did not know is Hilts doesn't read the testimony, Yaru does. Chapter 2. As Ileana was trying to figure out how to alter Yaru's recorded message, two other Sith factions entered the palace to fight Ileana and her followers. One group came from the main entrance and the other faction came from the glass roof. Chapter 3. Hilt managed to get the three factions to stop fighting. In the pause, Jay, Hilt's assistant, told them that the sand moved slower when it was moved off the original mountain. This small change of a second each day over 2,000 years meant the calendar they use on Kesh is 8 days off the original timekeeping. This was enough to get the factions to stop fighting and have the testimonial be done once the other rival factions arrived to the palace. Chapter 4. Leaders of the 20 Sith factions listened to Yaru's dying message. After the message concluded, Hilt found something Yaru had recorded over. It was the message from Naga Sato. The Sith tribe on Kesh was fully human. Naga Sato and Ravelin, also in the message, were pure-blood Sith, something no one on Kesh had ever seen. The Sith leaders realized they were not just a tribe, but a lost tribe, and they were not in high standing with the outside world. Once the information was leaked, humans on Kesh began burning the cities. Hilt realized there had never been a throne in the palace because in reality Yaru was no king. He was always behind Naga Sato. Hilt is going to enter the Omen for the first time in a very long time, as it was sealed shortly after their arrival on Kesh. Now we move on to Lost Tribe of the Sith, number 8, Secrets. This one's obviously also by John Jackson Miller, and it is in 3000 BBY, which is the same year as Pantheon. Chapter 1. Hilts and Jaye made it to Yaru's palace on the top of the mountain. On their journey by foot, they spotted a Uvok with a rider with a lightsaber, heading to the palace as well. Hilts began calling out for Ileana, as this is who he thinks came on the now dead Uvok. Although there were no images or statues of Sela in the lower palace, this one had some statues of Sela. Chapter 2. Hilts, Ileana, and Jaye boarded the Omen in attempts to find the other message Yaru had left behind. Members from some of the other factions arrived and decided they needed to destroy the Omen, as it was what began their time on Kesh. Chapter 3. Hilts found a letter from Yaru's mother. She described a vision of Yaru leading his own people free from the Sith. She envisioned their time on Kesh. This was not the message Yaru had alluded to in his final message, though. Hilts realized that the chair had been moved after Yaru's death, as the background was different than the recording. Jaye remembered a sealed door about 20 steps lower than the Omen itself. There was another room built into the side of the hill the Omen was resting on. While searching the Omen, the group of Sith working to destroy the Omen were starting to tear down a tower at the palace so it would hit the Omen. Chapter 4. The others outside Omen found Jaye as he was looking for more glow sticks. They killed Jaye and stormed into the room with Ileana and Hilts. As they began to fight, Hilts discovered a map hidden behind the walls. It was a map of the rest of the planet. There were more continents that were bigger than the one they knew. The Keshiri on this continent had no means to get there, so they thought they were alone on the planet. Yaru used a probe from the Omen to map out other parts of the planet. Yaru left it there until there was a need to unite the Sith. All the factions agreed that because Hilts discovered this new path and was the only one that knew the old language of the Sith, that Hilts would be the new Grand Lord to lead the Sith through this new time. Chapter 5. Hilts chose Ileana as his wife. This was partly to protect her if any of the past grievances towards her were to be settled before a time of peace. It was also his choice to keep him alive, as the wife of the Grand Lord is to be killed after the Grand Lord's death. This essentially made Ileana Hilts' bodyguard for his role. The final story in the Lost Tribe of the Sith book is number 9, Pandemonium. This one's also by John Jackson Miller, and this takes place 2975 BBY, which is 25 years after Secrets. Chapter 1. Quora Than, a ward master in the Keshiri military on the main continent of Alanciar, went to the westernmost military base, Point Defiance, to meet her pen pal of sorts, Jogan Halder. Chapter 2. As Jogan and Quora kissed on the balcony, Sith airships came into view. They began sending out messages to warn the continent. Chapter 3. Edel Vry, High Lord of the Sith appointed by Hilts, and head engineer, led the exploration mission to Keshta Major. His expedition had 3 ships. His 2 accompanying ships were shot down once they got over land. Edel's ship is being fired upon as well. Chapter 4. Quora ran to the stairwell of the tower as the airships were being shot down. Edel's ship was attacked by Keshiri on Uvak, their own air force. The weapons used were firing pellets of diamonds. Edel's ship has been hit. Some of the crew and Edel are falling to the surface, while Quora was rushing to leave and Uvak landed on Jogan. Chapter 5. Quora shot one of the Sith warriors as they arrived at the tower. Edel killed the warrior because he would slow them down. It was also an intimidation tool against Quora. A fishing vessel was coming towards the shore. Edel and the remaining Sith, totaling 6 from the original 30, combined from the 3 ships, are taking Quora and Jogan to the fishing vessel to continue their journey. Chapter 6. Hilt is preparing a new speech to be given as it is time for Yaru's final words to be given again. However, the recording device was destroyed after the last playing of it. Hilts has given permission to Bentado to take his men and attack the new land. Hilts has given a large amount of political power and decision-making to Ileana. Chapter 7. The Sith have killed all the Keshiri on the fishing boat. Edel is taking Quora, and she is going to take him to meet their leader. Chapter 8. Quora and Edel arrived in the town of Kareba, where a play was being held for the Day of Observance, which happens every 10 years since Adari Vaal arrived on the shores of Alanciar. Chapter 9. Cora had a dream where she spoke with Ori and Jelf from much earlier in the short stories of the Lost Tribe. Cora and Edel continued their journey into Alanciar. Alarms started going off, signaling another Sith fleet. Cora was shocked to see Edel less happy than she was about the news of more Sith. Chapter 10. Edel saved a Sith whose ship had been shot down from Cora. The Sith said Bentado had ordered the attack to go early. Cora now wanted to go see if her family was alright in Urar, instead of taking Edel to the war cabinet at the capital. Chapter 11. Cora checked on her kids in Urar. Cora and Edel are now on their way to the capital. Edel explained how she is similar to the Sith. Chapter 12. When Edel and Cora arrived at the Capitol building, Vaal Hall, and Susmanitri, all they found were dead Keshiri. Bentado and his crew had arrived in Vaal Hall first. They were in control of the communication across Alanciar. Bentado had all Sith prisoners sent to Vaal Hall, leaving the door open and just having them leave them in the courtyard. Bentado had the alarms turned off across Alanciar. Bentado said the next wave of ships should arrive any time now. Chapter 13. Bentado wants to abandon the old tribe and start a new one from Alanciar. Edel killed Bentado's 2 guards, then Bentado hit Edel with force lightning. Cora shot Bentado with one of the dead Keshiri guards' weapons. Cora wanted to return to the ship, but Edel told her that he had sent them back home with Jogan. Chapter 14. Cora read Adari's personal letters describing the animal that was Yaru Corson while Edel slept. Edel and Cora are going to work together to kill Bentado, as Cora has determined that Bentado is more like Yaru, described by Adari, than Edel is. She said Adari's lightsaber should be in the room they are hiding in. Chapter 15. Cora and Edel attempted to take out Bentado, each with a lightsaber. Hilts and the other airships have landed on Alanciar. Bentado sent a message for them to all be killed. Hilts' response was regards. When Squab, one of Bentado's Keshiri, heard this, he immediately killed Bentado with a lightsaber. Cora and Edel were saved by this arrival of Hilts. Chapter 16. One of Edel's crew read Adari's writing while heading back to the tribe with Jogan. They flew ahead to show Hilts. The Sith then left the streets and only put loyal Keshiri outside, convincing Jogan of their kindness and protective nature. Pinning Bentado as the bad guy, Hilts arrived back to Alanciar with Jogan and is going to try and take over the Keshiri willingly. Chapter 17. The Keshiri on Alanciar began to fully embrace the Sith. Edel was Hilts' governor of Alanciar. He offered Cora a position, but she refused and went home. She accepted the Sith, but still did not want to help them. The following and final short story for this video is Knight Errant Influx, also by John Jackson Miller. This takes place in 1032 BBY, which is a whole 1943 years after Lost Tribe of the Sith Pandemonium. Vanar Treese, Dorvin Eltrom, and Kara, 3 Jedi, took out a small ground unit of Sith in order to take control of a ship. The rest of their Jedi team should arrive shortly. The Jedi did not have access to the Navicomp, as Daemon, a Sith Lord in charge of the region, had extra security measures, meaning the pilot carried the device with them. They had to take off anyway to seem like they were still a part of the convoy. Kara had jumped out of the transport just as they were taking off. Kara got a spare part for the Navicomputer in the hangar. She snuck in using the outfit of the woman she killed on the ground team. The Jedi team is ready to continue the mission to the mining planet of Choloa. So that wraps up all of the short stories for this video. I feel like this is my normal phrase that I say now at the end of a Star Wars video, but I really enjoyed getting to read and view all of these stories. If anyone has any comments about the stories, if they've read them, or if they haven't, please let me know down below. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I was very glad that I got to get to the end of the Lost Tribe of the Sith book, because it's been a while since those popped up in the timeline. Again, thank you everyone so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.